don't be afraid to experiment new things.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to change yourself. Are the two biggest things I will say. I really got more excited to see how these guys were innovating on the technologies, how they were working on the latest technology, as well as trying to invent something new using the latest concept that they had. One of the original soccer balls that was used in the FIFA World Cup, each wine you can now see whether it's a genuine wine that you are drinking. Almost 30% of wine in the world is counterfeit, right? One thing that I have learned is, you don't develop a business use case because you suddenly came across a new technology, right? And Anis, this is not just an Indian problem, and like I
This
said,
is a worldwide problem.
yeah. But I think growing up, that experience actually helped me a lot, man, when I look back.
Welcome to Masters Decoded Season 4.
What was your wake-up call? What got you to all of this?
Honestly,
How do you overcome self-doubt?
so first and foremost,
How do you do that emotional quotient? How do you bring that up?
My next guest on today's podcast is Vimal Shukla. Vimal is an entrepreneur, investor, and a philanthropist. Vimal is currently the CEO of Smart Cosmos, an interesting company in IoT and many other areas. In addition, he is a member and a founder of a very interesting startup called Family Pro Health, focused on elderly care. But there's more to it. If you are a fan of soccer, then you should not miss out this podcast specifically. Hi, Vimal. Welcome to Masters Decoded Season 4 podcast. Really glad to have you on the show
Thank
today.
you, Anis. Thanks for this opportunity, and looking forward to having a good podcast today. Thank you.
Know when you and I got in touch with through a common friend, and really thankful to her that Minu, I'll take her name here, that she was able to make a connection between the two of us, and my team and I looked up your profile. I said, like, amazing personality. Let's have a conversation. So Vimal, when I looked up a little bit, and I've told you before we started recording, I'm going to behave like a child. Uh, you've had multiple stints at different
Mm-hmm.
spaces, right? You've worked in corporates. You've also
Mm-hmm.
done your own startups. Uh, and I want to take that analogy of one of the Hindi movie of Salman Khan, Kick. He always does something new because he wants
Mm-hmm.
to have a kick. He wants to get a kick in life. So what gets you kick, or what gets you that high? I would say professionally, so that and that is been making you move in different startups and different
A very,
genres.
very good question, and Anish, and you bring up a very important point that yes, uh, in my career I have moved around quite a bit, and if you look at it,
Mhm.
some of the 50-50 split, where for the first 15 years of my career I was in a big corporate environment doing consulting services kind of work, and then I moved over to startups because I wanted to do something in the product space, right? Uh, well, the reason I moved between so many verticals initially was that it was a gradual shift for me, where earlier,
Mhm.
uh, I mean, of course, I was a software developer earlier, but once I started looking at closely at what I really wanted to do, then telecom was a big thing in mid 90s. So much was happening in telecom
Yep.
at that point of time. I got an opportunity to really work from the ground up, and I literally mean ground up, meaning I actually went inside the telecom manhole below the ground, and I actually
Oh,
saw how cables were getting spliced and connected, and how they were now getting connected all the way to the residential homes. And these are all the times when wireless was not there; it was only wireline, right? So I was in Denver
yep.
that time, and snowstorm, and I was inside a manhole trying to figure out how the technology worked. So being in telecom for quite some time, then of course telecom we had wireless came along. So there was so much new things to learn in that space. So I got dragged into it. Then, while still being in a corporate environment, I got a natural shift towards high tech. Uh, at one point of time, I
Mhm.
was handling quite a few the biggest IoT manufacturers today I cannot give you the names, but biggest printer manufacturer in the world, smartphone device manufacturer in the world. Some of those were my direct customers. I was handling them, and I used to work with them. And that's when I got the idea of how products are being brought to the market. I mean, how they work on a new product and how they bring the product to the market. And I got hooked onto that. So from telecom, when I went to high tech, I really got from services perspective to see from outside looking in how the product was being conceived, designed, brought to the market, right? And that basically actually gave me a sense that this is where I really want to be. And that's when I moved to my first startup. Again, it was in telecom space, so it actually helped my telecom with my telecom background.
Okay.
But moving forward, the use case was similar. So if you look at telecom, you still have you have to get an order from the customer. You have to provision the order, fulfill the order. Then you have the CRM systems, and then of course you have to talk to the customer and ensure that customer is happy with the product, right? So the concepts remain the same. So when I went to retail after high tech, the same thing. Customer has to buy the product, and then you want to make sure the customer has a good experience with the product. So you have systems designed around that. And then I moved into something which was more IoT related, because IoT became a big thing last 10 years. So while still in retail manufacturers as well as the department stores, they wanted to ensure that they have a good track and trace capabilities of the products that they have, the inventory of the products they have, the supply chain that they have. So they started digitizing the physical products. So I got into IoT space through that. So that's a natural progression again, while being in retail. And then just recently started dabbling, not only with IoT, while I was still with IoT, I started dabbling with the healthcare, because healthcare is a big area where IoT devices are being currently used, wearables, as well as the devices
Yep.
where you can monitor your health and other stuff. So then I got into that as well, and then I started looking at the use cases and how we can improve that product that are currently there in the marketplace. So yes, correct to say that I got into so many things, but I actually got lucky. One thing just led to another after every 2-3 years, and
I was going to ask you, how weren't you
it was.
lucky to be there? And
I definitely consider myself very, very lucky that in the last 20 years, the technology has changed so much, 20 to 25 years. And I just happened to be
yeah,
at the right place where things just naturally moved. I was working in one area, and I suddenly found that that particular thing can actually be utilized in another vertical. Yes, I did not know anything about that vertical, but yes, over time I understood what the basic fundamentals are, and the basic fundamental is you have to take care of your customer, right? It always, whatever vertical you work in, customer is the king. If you don't
yeah,
do anything for them, then you cannot get a new product in the market, or your product cannot sustain itself, right? The customers give you the feedback.
agreed.
So for you to enhance any particular product, a lot of time the customer themselves give you the ideas how to enhance the product, right? And then you have to enhance them. So all these verticals, customer is the king, and as you are closer to the customer, you get new ideas to work on. And definitely I was very lucky to keep that common goal, and then work towards see how how each product or each vertical treated the customer, and how we can make sure that they have good experiences with them.
But it's also interesting now when what you just said, when I look back, things start getting connected, and this has been so common with every person
Hmm.
I've bought on the show, right? They never planned for where they are right now, and I'm
Yeah,
sure you never planned where you are right now that you would be doing this. But when you look back, it all seems connected, like the telecom to the high tech to retail to RFID and IoT, and all these things are kind of connected, right? They are like you laid a seed, and that tree started growing, and the branches started growing, but the roots kind of went on into different directions, but they all were kind
exactly.
of connected to that soul or to that tree, right? Which
Yeah.
is you in this case. Now, I just want to ask this question because you've been in the industry for so long, you have that kind of an experience. This is a challenge of today's youth, and most of the engineers. You are an engineer from one of the premium institute in India. uh, they don't know where to start, or they doubt themselves, that or they don't want to do a job which they have got into. Like you said, you've entered a manhole. I know many engineers, and I know a lot of new folks who are graduating. If I tell them enter a manhole or pick up a broom and broom, they will have serious concerns. I'm sure you've seen those young
Yeah.
individuals around you as well. I don't know if you know, but I started my career in McDonald's. I have broomed, I have mopped, I have cleaned toilets, I have
Oh
made
wow.
burgers. I've done everything under what a
Oh
McDonald's
wow.
employee
Wow.
does, as an example, right? Right. So all of us have our own share of stories, right? But if I look back, what I did helps me
Exactly.
today, right? It's not that I cook better burgers,
Mhm.
but the point is, it helps, right? Now, if you are sitting today looking back how things have been connected and how lucky you have been, and
Yeah.
luck has played a flavor in your career, what advice will you give to the young
Yeah, my
folks?
biggest advice would be don't be afraid to experiment new things. I mean, yes, it's pretty common for graduates when you come out of college not to not know what you really want to do, right? It's pretty common. I've seen so many
Hmm.
people, very few people I've met actually know what they really want to do, but most of them don't. And it's okay to take some time, try different things, and don't be afraid to try them out, and then see what really excites you, what you actually think you would be passionate about working. And again, that may be the thing at that point of time, and again, and it will change later on because things do change in life. So don't be afraid for the change as well. So don't be afraid to experiment new things.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid to change yourself. Are the two biggest things I will say the youth today should look at. And always good to experiment new things because that opens the way for your mind to really look at new things that you would want to put your mind to as well as work towards. And so those are the two things I would tell the youth today. Please try everything that you think you would like to do, and don't be afraid. And that's what it is.
But how long will should this experimentation last? Should it be for lifeline? Like, I know you started a company last year and you're experimenting with it, right? You started
Hmm.
because of a necessity, and we'll talk
Hmm.
more about it, what that is. But you are still experimenting. You are an experimenter,
Yeah, yeah.
right? The way I look at it, you today. So should experimentation continue for
See,
life?
it depends on how long you want to take it. It also depends on your, everybody is different here, Anis, right? So their own idea about how long they want to be in is up to them. I typically, when I look
Hmm.
into any particular startup, I in my mind, I have a vision of 2 to 3 years at least to first year to at least ensure that I have the good product roadmap as well as what I really want to bring to the table, right? So sometime in between, in the first year, the product will start getting developed. Typically, will take 6 to 8 months to launch the minimum viable product, right? And then once you have that, then you
Yep.
start testing it out with some kind of target audience or a pilot or something, which will again possibly run for anywhere from 3 to 6 months to maybe a year, depending on the product, right? And then the next phase is to really go to the market and see what's the reaction of the market to the product that we have brought in. So, in my mind, if all the 2 or 3 companies in the last few months, I have always said that I need to be invested for at least 2 to 3 years. The initial business plan that we prepare is always there to at least have the funding for that much amount of time. And at the end of second year, we take a look at what's working, what's not working. And again, it's a iterative process. Not everything that we start with initially pans out. It's always changes, always. So to answer your question, I would say,
Yep.
and this happens for the people that you are starting their career too as well. At least give yourselves 2 to 3 years because first year you are just trying to learn that particular technology or the product or the vertical. Then the next year you try to see whether it excites you. Try to see where all you can go with that particular thing, and then if you like it, you continue to stay. If you not, then you try to see what else you can do with, or you can do a combination of things as well. So that would be my answer to your
Yep.
question. 2 to 3 years is a reasonable time to look at doing for both the scenarios.
Very interesting. So, what prompted you to leave your corporate stint, and I call it a drug? What made you leave that drug, which is a salary every month, and join a startup or
continue to do your
Yeah,
own
and I mean, I
startup?
was in the corporate world for more than 15 years, and then it was more a consulting organization. Not more, it is a consulting organization. And yes, although I was working in telecom and high tech in the later phases, but ultimately, I thought, I told you when I went into high tech, the product bug hit me. And when I started working with
Hmm.
some of the big product companies here, I really got more excited to see how these guys were innovating on the technologies, how they were working on the latest technology, as well as trying to invent something new using the latest concept that they had. And I thought this really I want to do. Consulting is good. Yes, you are working from outside, advising people in, which is good. But now I want to really go into the trenches and do it myself and see how these things pan out. So that's when, that's how I decided to move away from a comfortable salaried job to a startup environment. To at least, and again, I also gave myself 2 to 3 years initially that, okay, if it does not work, then of course I can always go back to the consulting work. That will always
Hmm.
be there. That cushion I always had because I
Yeah.
had the 15 plus years of experience. But it just panned out. The first company we sold it in 5 years. Just good experience. So and then once you have that comfort behind you of a successful, and I got lucky there as well. The first startup company was successful in selling itself to private equity. And then it basically gives you the
Nice.
convo. I've done it once. Let me try a couple of things more, and then yeah, that's what happened with me. And I think overall, I'm pretty happy with how I'm now working with products and trying to visualize what we can do here in this space.
Very nice. Vimal, switching gears a little bit, you have a nice bookshelf
Hmm.
behind you.
Thank you.
Uh, which was your favorite
Oh,
book?
there are a lot of them, but the one I like the best is the inventor, the great inventors, Walter Isaacson, and it talks
Hmm.
about the history of inventions from 1800s till Microsoft, I think, till Microsoft. I read it about 2 3 years back, but it
Wow.
really talks about how what we are seeing right now started in 1800s with the computing history. How people got
Hmm.
into building some big, a small computer used to be this room size, right? So how the concept came along, and
Yep.
then how things were progressing. I got to learn why we call a software bug, which I had never knew that the term came from actually a bug because bugs they will run this program at the night, and morning they'll find the program has not run because there was a bug which came in the room that last night and spoiled the circuit, and they had to again rerun everything, and that's where the software definition of the bug came in. So just seeing,
Oh, I didn't know that story.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
an
that
amazing
was
story about
yeah,
the
that's how
software bug.
why it is
Okay.
called a bug is because literally they will be a bug that will come into the room and it will probably do something which will short circuit something, and the program will not run, and then this guy have to reassemble everything. So I mean, it was a nice. I would encourage that book for any engineer. May not be a computer engineer or electronics engineer, but it shows how technology has evolved right from grassroots. And the thing is, the basic concept is still the same. You may have now supercomputers and all, but if you look
Hmm.
at it down at the chip level, it's, yeah, the chip has improved, and electronic circuitry has improved. Now you are able to do things faster at much smaller space, but the basic concept is the same. So I really love that. That's one of my favorite. And I also have a couple of other interesting books, but that one is my favorite.
Nice, nice. Well, there's something else
Hmm.
also on your bookshelf, and I see a
Ah,
soccer ball. I would love to call it a football, but football can be confusing for a lot of your American friends. So I'll call
yes.
it a soccer ball. Uh, and in India and Europe, we all call it football, but not in America. So, what's so special about the
Yeah,
soccer
in
ball?
fact, let me just bring it up here and show it to you guys. It is
Sure.
one of the original soccer balls that was used in the FIFA World Cup. Can you see it? In the
Wow.
FIFA World Cup in
Yes.
2018. So one of my previous companies that I was working for, they actually were one of the pioneers in digitizing the soccer ball. So what we did was there is a chip that we have installed in the soccer ball, which provides real-time information through the scanners that are across the stadium. And then, so that
Hmm.
technology was developed. Actually, it started being utilized in 2014, 2015. So we do see some of those in the
Okay.
Brazil World Cup, but in the 2018 World Cup is when it really took off, where it was not just data capture, but also the analytics behind the data as well. So now when you
Wow.
watch a soccer game or football game, you see real-time statistics, how many times a player has touched a ball, for how long he's keeping the position, to which player
Yep.
is he passing the most, which direction is passing the most, right? I mean, all of that, and plus also the referee able.
So we
Mhm.
understand the ball aspect, but how do you map it to the player? Do the players also
Yes,
have a chip in their shoes,
yes.
or how does
So
that work?
this company that we worked for, so you have chips in your soccer shoes. You have chip in your jersey as well. So each and every player
Wow.
is tracked in real time through those similar sensors. So every time a touch happens, then it actually gets recorded there as well. So combination of this technology with the video cameras that are there has actually improved the game of soccer pretty good. I think it become more enjoyable when I watch the statistics, especially the last World Cup final. I mean, I was in India that time. I really loved the love that, and yeah, Qatar
The
World Cup. And I
Qatar
was
World
telling
Cup.
people who are watching with that, the soccer ball that is being used is something that we help to get the data from. Of course, the analytics is being done by other
Hmm.
big companies around the globe, but the actual digitization of the soccer ball was something that my previous company actually worked with, and uh, that is again a very good use case about how IoT can be utilized in many ways. So you see some other artifacts there. So Smart Cosmos, one of the companies that I'm right now CEO of. Our concept is to make physical things digital. So every kind of retail product or any kind of product that you have, we actually try
Wow.
to give it a unique digital identity, and that is a unique identity that you can use across the globe to track and trace. So even like say a garment now, I mean, I have some customers here where they are now digitizing your T-shirt. So if you look at the logo here, there
Wow.
is a chip behind it. You can wash it for up to
Okay.
8,000 washes. It will not. It will still work. Yeah, it not go bad. And then you can now, since it's digitized, you can start looking at it from where it started. So let's say it was manufactured in Vietnam. So from Vietnam, when it was the manufacturing site to the courier or the shipping, plus your warehouse to your retail outlet store and the consumer. So my company, Smart Cosmos actually has the track and trace for some of the major suppliers. We are actually working with them and helping them in there. And but the biggest thing is we help make physical things digital. And soccer ball is just one example. You also see a wine bottle there. Same thing. Each wine you can now see whether it's a genuine wine that you are drinking. Almost 30% of wine in the world
Hmm.
is counterfeit, and you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't
I've heard
make
that
a
story.
wine is such a thing that only wine connoisseurs can actually distinguish the taste of it. So now, yeah,
If they've had it,
if they had it
if they've
before,
had it
even
before.
spirits,
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
lot of nice Scotch bottles are counterfeit as well. So I'm a big Scotch. I like
Wow.
Scotch. So I when I had sometimes I can see that it's not the genuine one. Now people are actually manufacturers are using our technology for some of these use cases where you can digitize it at the point of manufacture, trace it along the supply chain,
Hmm.
and if somebody is counterfeiting it, then you can find it out. So the beauty of it is, let's say the soccer ball, let's say, somebody can come back and say this soccer ball is, how do you say that this is a genuine soccer ball, right? So all somebody will have to do is find this Bluetooth that I have here, just use your cell phone to tap it, and so you can see the result will come shortly. It says, so now it shows me on my cell phone the exact soccer ball, and now I can
Wow.
see more details about the soccer ball on this. So now I know that this is the genuine soccer ball, and same concept with other products as well, where you can tap it.
Yeah, I see those wine bottles behind
Yeah.
you and all of that.
Hmm.
But I have a question on this. See, the soccer ball and its linkage with the shoes and the jerseys is a very
Hmm.
interesting use case, right? But when you get into other products like a wine, and this idea just came up to me today. Let's say I have these wines which are
Hmm. Hmm.
mass produced, right? And there are wines which are one off. Now, this use case may not be good for one off, but let's say if it's mass produced, and I don't drink, so I will not be able to, and I don't want to take a
Hmm.
name which may
Hmm.
be wrong or incorrect, so I will leave it to that. But let's say today, just a sparkling bottle of Proud Sauce, right?
Hmm.
If you can
Hmm.
see it on my screen, uh, if I have a RFID, not just an RFID, but from an
Hmm.
IoT perspective, if the bottle starts reducing the content because I'm drinking it, right? It can have two. Let's say in a liquor's case, it can tell me, I think you're drinking too much, right? If I'm drinking with others, then okay, I can send a message, okay, I'm having it with my friends. But if I'm having it my alone, it can have a good feedback
Hmm.
back to the user right now, and I'll come to that. But are you seeing such use cases where reduction in the quantity or the unit level also will be able to provide not only to the user but also to the manufacturer or to the packaging person that hey, this customer may be ripe for a
Yes,
reorder?
yeah, we are
Are you seeing
seeing
those use cases?
similar use cases. Not exactly the same one that you talked about, but I mean, since you brought up the bottle thing, let me show you another use case here. This is again one of our customers. Uh, this is the bottle that they have. Oh, you
Yep,
have seen
I've
this.
seen these
Okay, so
bottles.
in for
Yes.
WWF they have this. They have their cool claim to fame is their filter, where you're going on a trek, you
Yep.
can fill this bottle up, and then when you drink it with the filter, then you are promised 99.9. You're assured 99.8% like good water, right? So here's what we did for them, right? So there is a chip here. So again, the same thing. You are
Hmm.
on going on a trek. You can uh, you have this bottle with you. You have filled it up, but now you want to see where is the nearest filling station. So now, first of all, you tap the bottle, you get the bottle's web page, and now it will show you where you
Wow.
can fill it up. At the point where you can fill it up, whether water is good or not. You can other use cases in terms of how the filter is, how long the filter is going to last. Like in this case, I think it's 1,000 times you can use it. Of course, depending on the water quality as well. So it now keeps a track of how many times the bottle has been filled up, and if it is more than 500, then the manufacturer gets a thing that yeah, this guy is due for another filter for you, and you can reach out to them. So those kind of use cases we already have where
Wow.
they are doing it. And more than that, Anis, I think this particular thing, the reason I like this is because it reduces the plastic bottle usage, right? So this is so much cool thing
Yep.
you are doing. Yeah,
We can see I'm also
right.
reusing these bottles, right? I know I bought it for the first time, but I bring it home and I continue to use it. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
throw
So
them
this
away
is,
as well.
and every time you buy the bottle, a donation is go to WWF here in this case. So to answer your question,
Yeah.
there are many use cases where once you are digitizing a product, you can now utilize that information to stay in touch with your customer to see what other things that they can use it for. You brought up a point of in this case the filter as well. So the filter is important. So once he's crossing 500 users, then you can reach out to him, Why don't you reorder, time to refill? Here's a 10% coupon, right? I mean, look at it here. The first thing I got is 15% off. I don't know if you can see it, but that's what it says.
Wow.
Unlock 15%, 15%
Yes, I can
saving,
see it.
right? So now if he wants to reorder that filter, then he is getting 15%. So those are the cool, not only helps you in customer retention, but also to get the feedback from the customer, like I mentioned earlier. You get things that they would want to use it for, and you can improve your app for those kind of things.
So just building onto this further, Vimal, and this is more from a, nowadays there's a lot of discussions about ethical and the responsible analytics or AI or data aspect, right? Now, the example which I was giving about wine or this same use case about filter, how much should you do and not cross that fine line of infringing into somebody's privacy or somebody's own well-being, as an example? So that's one question. And the second question linked to that is, where's the fun of being a human? Like you spoke
Hmm.
about soccer today, you
Hmm.
enjoy statistics, right? Like Messi is passing the ball so much to his or his players at this way, or Cristiano Ronaldo is doing this, but that core fun of soccer is now getting inundated with too much of data. So that fun of not knowing whether the goal was there or not there, and there is healthy debate, there is discussions, that never happens, right? Because now you've taken that away. Because now there is data to prove. It happens in cricket as well, right? Those radars tell you whether they nicked the bat
Right.
or they didn't nick the bat, right? The ball nicked the bat or no. Now, there was fun when my dad used to watch test match. There would be so many times where the umpire would give a wrong decision, and there would be so much healthy debate and discussions about it. But today there is none like that. So that fine line of good and infringing, how much should you cross and not cross? Since you bought this topic
Yeah,
about
no, I
tracking.
have a little different perspective here. I think using technology to take that thing out is not really taking the fun away. I mean, if the fun goes away, then all this social media posts will not be exploding, Anish, right? I mean, you see, people are still talking about all the game. I mean, look at the Qatar World Cup, right? 20 last year. So
Mm-hmm.
people are still talking about the game. There are so many social media posts about the storylines for the game as well. So now yes, you're not talking about things that you believe actually happened. So because there was no technology to prove it, but now you actually have
Mm-hmm.
uh, good data to argue on some other aspects of the game, right? Why did not Messi come out and then some other substitution was being made? Why did the other player come along much earlier in the process, or they fault the coach for some strategic decisions? So there are other topics that are also very very fun related. So I would say the decision now has moved from the argument has moved from what it used to be more strategic argument or based on data, and that's where I would think the fun is. That yes, everybody can have the same data, and then now you can devise your strategy or your strategy based on those, and that has another adds another element to the discussion, and I think that's where the fun is now moving forward. I wouldn't necessarily call it the ethical thing, because I think having the right data is always the ethical thing. Right data. Now, if you interpret the right data in a different way, then it becomes non-ethical. But I don't want to get into that question of ethical versus non-ethical, because I'm not expert to talk about what is
Sure.
ethical and what is non-ethical, because everybody has their own opinion about this.
No, I completely agree. And you may have a point of view which others may not agree. And it happens
Yeah,
with
yeah,
every topic
yeah.
today in the world, right?
Which is
It's not just about the
Which is
ethics
what I
of
told
data
you,
and
right? The
analytics.
discussion will happen on earlier. It was discussion topic was different. Now it is topic is different. It's the same data, but still people are interpreting it in a different way. So and it's a lot of interesting conversations. With the same data. I mean, just amazing. If I'm looking at from one viewpoint, like how is this person not seeing the data that I'm seeing it? Because this is data, he's right from his
Yeah.
viewpoint. So that's the fun of it, and the interaction will happen.
So, Vimal, let's switch gears a little bit and get onto a different conversation. Now, you've been through
Hmm.
different startups' journeys, and you've joined few startups. You've seen them having an exit, and you've done. you know, these moving from one startup to another, what are the key learnings, you know, when you think about 0 to 1, 1 to 10, or 10 to 50, right? If you can share in a snippet what has been your learnings around that, I think it will be good for people to learn from it, because you also started a
Yes.
company last year, and I want to talk about that because that's a
Hmm.
very interesting company, and that's, I believe, is in a journey of 0 to
Yes.
10 or 0 to 1 for now, right? But Smart Cosmos is
Hmm.
a little bit more mature as compared to the others. So what's been that learning from 0 to 1, 1 to
Yeah,
10 for you?
very good question, Anis. If something we're starting from scratch, right? I mean, it's basically an idea or a business use case that you think there is a need in the market, right? One thing that I have learned is,
Hmm.
uh, you don't develop a business use case because you suddenly came across a new technology, right? I would rather say that yes, you look at the business need in the market first, see whether people really need that kind of product or an offering that you are trying to bring to the market, and then look at the technology that is going to support that. That I would say is
Hmm.
in my experience has worked out better, because whenever I've seen and talked to people, yes, suddenly they have a new technology thing that they thought that is good. Yes, from technology perspective, it's a great thing. But what is the usefulness for people? Whether they think that's useful. Number one. Number two, whether there's a need for it in the marketplace. And then once you have that taken care of, then of course your product will be successful. Is what I would say to answer your question. So in my experience, focus on the end use case and focus on the trial run is very important. When you actually start getting feedback from the people who are using it. If you have crossed that threshold, and wherever in your journey it's number 7 or beyond, that actually gives you a pretty good pointer whether this is going to be successful or not going to be successful. And that is the point where you should decide whether you want to continue or exit, because that's where the key of the thing is. Like I said, I mean, this I learned from one of my previous senior leader, that he said the same thing, that don't go after technology. That will change, but look at the use case, and that's where I've started. I've not started. I've been using it for the last 2 companies that I was a part of, and it so far has worked out.
Okay. Let's switch on to the use case, which is very near and dear to you, and you started that
Yes.
company last year, which is all about taking care of our
Yes.
parents. Um, do you want to share a little bit more about the company
Yes.
which you have started up,
Yes.
Vimal,
And
last year?
again, the company is called Family Pro Health, and this idea came to us from my own experience. Like, my mom is alone in India, and she calls me
Hmm.
and tells me that she's not feeling well. But that's it. And I'm supposed to figure out, sitting here in the US, what's wrong with her. And while talking to her, it can either be a simple thing as a fever, because in India you do have, uh, you know, occasionally some virus strain or something comes along and you have fever because of that. Or she has missed her medication.
Yep.
Sometimes, she will say that she has taken the medication, but actually she forgot to take the medication, and because of which her blood pressure has gone up or gone down, things like that, right? And my attempts to get her to a medical practitioner, she has 100 reasons for not going to a doctor. Today, my maid servant came late or did not come. Okay. Today it was too hot. Today it was raining. And I just don't want to go. So, and again, I do have a support structure there. So I do have my cousins and other who are there, but you can't call them every time something, my mom complains, right?
Yep.
So that's where the idea came up, that why don't we look at provide having a mechanism where people like us who are NRIs in whichever country we are in, and if our parents are not staying with us, and by the way, it's not only NRIs, you can be in Mumbai but your parents are in, let's say, Banaras or something, same problem, you're not staying with them and they have the same issue, right? So the idea was that how can we get real-time health alerts about our parents. So that we started looking at it from what we can do about it. So that was a use case where is it possible where we can provide real-time information to the people who are not staying with their parents, and how can we do that? Then we started looking at the technology, right? So yes, there is in healthcare, there are a lot of wearables. Almost every day I hear about a new wearable or something that comes up which tracks the health, right? So initially the thought was that, okay,
Yep.
we'll get the wearable and see if they can use it. But then quickly we realized that in that age group, having them, wear a patch or
Wear
even a
something.
ring. I mean, for that reason, they almost think that if something is being forced upon them to be done. Even Apple Watch, right? I've had uh, my friends send Apple Watch to the parents to say, we can at least get some basic parameters, and just promptly returned saying that no, it's too expensive. We can't keep track of it, and I'm afraid I will lose it or it will fall down. So they don't want. So we quickly came to a realization that we have to keep it very, very simple and almost as if that something that they will be comfortable with. So the simplest thing was, okay, why don't we just give them some simple health parameter devices which they are comfortable with? So a simple blood pressure monitor, they have been going to their doctor, and most of my people I know, they actually have it at home as well. They've been using it. Pulse oximeter in COVID, pulse oximeter, almost every household has a pulse oximeter now,
Yep.
thermometers and things like that. So what we felt was, okay, let's just give them the same basic devices they are comfortable with, and whenever either they can take the reading when they are not feeling well, or they can take it on a regular interval that we doctor wants them to take. And the solution should be such that they take the reading, and the people the I'm sitting here in the US, I should get real time measurement of their health. So if they are, if my mom is not feeling well, I'm having conversation, I can just ask her to take a reading, and I will see. Now I have real data to act on. Yes, today she has fever, so I'll call her again in the evening, and again, yes, she's still having fever. Then I will, arrange for some kind of help to be provided to her. Or if she has mutual medication because of for which the blood pressure is high or low, then I'll make sure that she's taking it in front of me and do all of that. And what I also figured out is it's not just between me and my mom. This data should be shareable with I have my brother here in Dallas as well. So we share with
Okay.
our other family members as well. We should be able to share it. So we looked at the technology. There were a lot of things that were available. We talked to partners of medical devices, and we put together a solution where through an app, let's say I subscribe to the
Mhm.
solution, and I say that my mom, staying in India, I want to monitor. The company dispatches the devices to
Yep.
her. We get on a call with her once to show her how to use it. She downloads the app. It's all pre-configured, and she starts taking the reading whenever she has to take, and it's all recorded. I get the reading, my family members get the reading, and if something is drastically wrong, then any one of us can take action on it, right? So that's the core concept. We started with the basic devices, and now we are expanding to other devices as well, where if a parent is comfortable with wearables and others, that's where we will go with. So we launched on Independence Day last year, 15th of August of India for US and
Wow.
India. And now in November, we launched in 20 plus countries and got very good.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We got very good feedback from people, and we made a few changes to the model. I mean, our commercial model initially was not that good, so we found a way to improve upon that. Uh, and people actually have called me and said, Vimal, thank you so much for doing this, because once their parents started using it, they had no idea that like in one case, the father was having high blood pressure, and it was pretty high.
Wow.
So he says, Vimal, if I was thinking when I'll go to India, I'll get him checked, and it was still 4 or 5 months away, and in 4 or 5 months, the high blood pressure would have continued. I would anything could have happened. So thank you for doing this. So, and then same thing for my some parents have also called me and said it actually has helped them in their communication with their kids as well, because now even they are happy that real time data is being captured and shared with everyone. So everybody seems to think that yeah, they are taking care of them, or even though they are not staying with them. And Anis, this is not just an Indian problem, and like I
This
said,
is a
it's not only,
worldwide problem.
yeah. I mean, I may be from Brazil. I'm saying I come to US for work, and saying my parents are still in Brazil or Africa or wherever else. So the
Yeah.
concept was that okay, if we do it for uh, right for just these countries that we have launched in, we can replicate this for other countries as well, other communities as well. So we started this.
No, I live in a community. I can tell you, Vimal, I live in a community and I joke around with my mother, meaning we stay in a joint family, that our entire colony is century bachelor, meaning I joke around, right?
Yeah.
You understand, they are all elderly, all their kids have moved out. Some are still in India, some are still in Mumbai, where I stay, but some are completely out in different parts of the world, New
Yeah.
Zealand, Australia,
Yeah.
US, UK, right? And I have seen when they've had certain issues, the first protocol, because there are few of us, I still like to call myself young, few of us are still there living in this colony, about 4 or 5 of us,
Hmm. Hmm.
we'll run first, right? But then we try to get in touch of their kin so that you know the decisions need to be taken
Hmm.
by them, not by us, right? We'll do whatever it is required to do it. And there have been multiple situations, unfortunate situations, where we had to get involved. But no, I think this service is so required
Yeah.
right now
Yeah.
worldwide, not just here. And especially even in US, within US itself, right? Like a lot of family parents stay in these
Yeah.
homes, right? And if now those homes have these technology enabled, right? But when you look at tier 2 and tier 3 countries, they don't have
Right.
these kind of services and
Yeah.
that kind of visibility for the kin to
Yeah. Yeah.
monitor and
Yeah. No, and
look at.
again, one is collecting of data, and so that's what we are doing right now. But the one of the feedback we got is okay. We know that my mom is not well, but how can you help me take care of her? So now we have started reaching out and developing an ecosystem of partners as well who are senior citizen care kind of organization where depending on the need they can either send somebody at your home. So if you need somebody to take your mom to a doctor or a doctor has to visit, so there is this partner ecosystem we are developing right now. So if it's not just the data, but you can now act on the data with all the support organizations being available to you to use as well. So that's the next step as well. So I mean, we
Wow.
started with just data collection and informing the kids about their parents' health. That's where it started. Then it gradually moved into family care. So uh, family should know everything. And then now
That's
the next
nice.
step is to get these partners and make sure that you have the end-to-end support. If you need an ambulance, then through the same software you should be able to call an ambulance or get medicines. So we are gradually getting into that space as well. So you will get everything on one common platform. And for various geographies as well. So again, we started last year, launched in August, and expanding now. And yeah, we have good feedback. So continue for next 2 years to see how this can scale up. And now we are actually getting people from India as well. So initially we thought it will only be NRIs who might be interested, but now we are seeing, like I said, people staying in Bangalore and parents not staying with them. They have the same issue because even for them to get to their parents, it at least 5-6 hours minimum to get, if not
Away.
more.
Yeah.
And but now they want to have instantaneous real-time alerts and they can act on it. So that's what we are looking at doing. So let's see how it's still. This was an idea that came up, and then again the same point, idea to the technology to now expanding it, and pilot was very successful.
Yeah, but when I look at Smart Cosmos and when I look at Family Pro Health, two
Hmm.
completely different domains,
Yeah. Hmm.
right? How are you able to juggle your mind, your energy, and your I would say physical capacity to manage two startups which are in very two different
Yeah, and I would
industries?
not say smart call with a startup anymore. It's because it's been there. So
Yeah, no,
it's
definitely
there
it's a large
for
one.
some
Yeah.
time, and it's yes, we are improving the product almost every release. See, if you look at the basic concept of both the organizations, it's all around IoT devices, right? So our
Hmm.
expertise in Smart Cosmos, where we are able to now integrate to so many IoT devices across the globe, which is what Smart Cosmos does. It brings everything together. that expertise actually came in very handy when we were looking at integrating these Bluetooth devices for health tracking of health parameter as well. And my team is now so conversant with that. They have told me that, give me a device, I can bring it to the market in 2 weeks. So, with proper information being available, that's where the confidence level of the team is. And gradually, I would like to make this a very common tool where, if you look at I think you are wearing a ring which measures your heart rate and all, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know which company it is from, but
Yeah.
they will have an app, and Ultra,
It's ultra human in India.
Ultra.
It's
So
called
they
ultra
must be
human.
having
Yeah,
an app which you will capture your data. So that's one.
it
Now,
does.
if you have a CGM or blood pressure monitoring to something else, then you have a different app for it. And the third one. Now, the issue that becomes is
Yep.
now if you want to go to a doctor, you don't want to send him to three apps and three different parameters. You want one consolidated report that goes to your doctor that okay, this is has been your reading for last 30 days, and last 4 or 5 days the summarization of that appears, right? So there has to be a common platform that can correlate all that information together in one place and then send it to whoever you want. And one thing I forgot to mention in Family Pro Health is reporting, where if when I see or if my mom's doctor needs to see her report, you can just WhatsApp to him or her in one as one
Wow.
common report. Everything can go, and it actually helps in telemedicine and all of that, right? So same thing here. As our vision is bring your own device, bring your own thing. So and we will make sure that everything is one common place instead of you dabbling with five different IoT apps. You have one common app to deal with, and ultimately that's where the world will be. I'm pretty sure Google and us may be already thinking on those lines as well. I see.
No, health is becoming such a big space. Like today, Apple is integrating all my health app data. I also wear Garmin. I don't wear Apple Watch anymore. I wear Garmin because I
Mhm.
believe the data is good. But Apple has been integrating that
Yeah,
data very seamlessly,
correct.
also. So it's not just
Right,
confined
right.
to
So
its
they're
own
they're all they're
ecosystem.
all getting into that, but for us to also do something similar and then make sure that we can have people bring their own devices is something that I think we have the expertise from Smart Cosmos, and that's what we utilize for Family Pro Health. So to answer your question, it was not anything different. Just the use case was different, but the basic technology behind it was the same, and that's where I was able to juggle again from one place to from one thing to the other because of that knowledge base that was there with the team.
You can quickly migrate from being a health to a complete security also, right? If the users are having smart homes like
Yeah,
cameras and all of that, right? It's not just about the parent, but
exactly,
you can also help them monitor what's happening, right? If they are in a kitchen or if they are in a living room, uh, who's coming at the door, who's not, right? All of those things can be done
exactly, and that's
in
what
many
I have at
ways.
my home. I mean, yesterday I was talking to my team and I was showing them my router information. I had not realized this. At my home now, I have 150 plus IoT devices connecting to my router, and same thing, the
Wow.
thermostat, the security, the water usage. In fact, yesterday I ordered a device which also alerts me if there's water leakage at my home. So that should be coming in where
Oh, wow.
all the locks, all maintenance locks are all IoT devices as well. So yes, we have all of that coming onto play, and everything becoming part of one connected ecosystem is the way to go for all of these things, like you said. So whether Family Pro Health does it in future, we'll have to see. But ultimately, that's where the future of IoT things are, and they have to be all these use cases can come
Integrated.
together, and then it goes into the other area of AI ML now, right? How can you use this data to predict, especially on the healthcare side? I'm very fascinated that of the different use cases from AI that are coming into play. It's not just the data anymore that you're collecting. I'm right now focused on data, right? But how to use
Yeah.
that data actually becomes so important. This today, if I may digress a little bit, uh, there was an article in Washington Post today about how AI model that a company has developed is actually helping to predict rheumatic heart condition. And this is pretty prevalent in Africa
Wow.
and Uganda and other places where we have simple thing called strep throat, right? We have when we are growing up, we had
Mm.
multiple times. At least I also had it. We used to call tonsils or whatever, right? So even a simple
Yeah.
fever that if it happens regularly over a period of time can lead to rheumatic heart condition. Now, if you have been collecting the data for people, and if the AI has that condition, then it can predict that yes, you have had it so many times, and now you should like get your heart checked. Number one, and number two, it also predicts that the medication don't have to really go in for surgery. You can actually almost proactively solve the problem that you have it in African and some other countries where almost I'm told 5 to 10% of the kids actually have this condition, and all they need is to start collecting the data
Wow.
using some of these IoT devices, and then somebody to collate that. And AI is a big play into that. Something similar, images, right? I mean, AI is able to look at the ultrasound images and do the prediction, right? It's huge. It's so huge. I'm fascinated
Yeah.
by what the possibilities with that.
Just it's been a fascinating almost an hour long conversation, Vimal. But I have
Oh.
one last question for you, or a thought.
Hmm.
I want to ping your mind for that. Know, I often think that where we are today is because what we've been through our childhood. Do you see some parallels which, you switching, you moving on, things?
Hmm.
Is there any parallel from your childhood which you can link it back?
Wow. Okay. Now you really have asked me the tough one, but yes, I think. See, when I was growing in India, right, and my father was a banker,
Mhm.
and uh, till my high school, I actually changed 9 schools.
Wow.
So almost every year was a new school, and I almost used to complain to my parents that please let's at least allow me to stay for at least 2 to 3 years, if not more. But yeah, he was cutting transfers, and even within transfers, first I will when I go to a city, I will be in a smaller school, and then I'll go to the bigger school, and all of that. So that's why I had so many schools. But I think growing up, that experience actually helped me a lot, man. When I look back, is I have become pretty good in adapting myself to the changes,
Hmm.
and because I went through that in my childhood, I can relate to people. I can sit down somewhere and talk to somebody as if I know him from ages. And my wife complains to me a lot of times when I'm in a flight with her. I end up talking to my next passenger more than with her. So, and she says, "You're talking to him as if you know him from ages." I said, "No, no, no. It's not. It just comes natural."
Yeah.
So. So two things here. Changes, I can adapt very well. When I became a very people person, because every school I went to, when I changed, I had to really adapt myself to the new environment and a new mindset of the kids around me, and to see how can I gel with them, right? So then it was not. I mean, I can't change them, but I will change myself. So
Yeah.
that process that I underwent when I was growing up actually uh, is actually helping me now. I think is over the years. To me, change become a very without even realizing I changed sometimes. It's almost got into my DNA now.
Hmm.
So earlier I used to complain to my parents about why it was why did it move so much, but not anymore. I think I realized that fate had it was a good thing, and that I did all of that, and then I have become a person that I am right now. So
Wow.
I can do all of this because of that background. So thanks for asking that question. I mean, you really stumped me, but this I think is what it is.
Now, Vimal, on that note, thank you for taking your precious time out. It's been an absolute honor and privilege to have a conversation with you. And I would like to wish you all the best with your new startup, which is Family Pro Health. I'm sure you are doing a lot of good by enabling a lot of children and the parents both to be connected and more importantly, be aware of what's going on in each other's lives. So thank you for doing that on behalf of everyone.
No, thank you, Anish, for having me today on this podcast, and a wonderful conversation I had. I'm feeling so relieved talking to you. I don't know, a lot of things that I talked about. I'm feeling so good about talking to you today. So
No,
thank you again, and look forward to be in touch with you and do much more.
definitely.